What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. As always, I'm your co-host, Donovan Quick. A little bit of a new setting here. This is Fin City Central, baby. New channel. We're expanding. Me and Jacob are going to be controlling this channel and Miami Dolphins Syndicate. So just double the coverage for you guys. We're going to give you double the content. A little bit more of the fun content as well as some exclusive stuff over here. That's going to be our kind of like breaking news stuff over there. Might break some news over here too, but this is gonna be a special one for you guys to kind of start us off. We're gonna do a 53-man roster prediction, but before we get started, make sure you like, subscribe, and comment what you guys think about my prediction below. I'm gonna start out with special teams, then roll over onto defense, then of course offense. Special teams pretty easy. Jason Sanders, Jake Bailey, Blake Ferguson. We already know that. No competition was brought in for Jason Sanders, even though I thought maybe there should have been. Jake Bailey, there was some competition brought in for him. However, he blew him out the water before preseason even started. Blake Ferguson, he's a long snapper. Who really cares? Safety, obviously Javon Holland, Brandon Jones are going to make it. Brandon Jones finally after red non-contact. Did not participate in preseason at all. May miss the first couple weeks of the season, but he looks like he's going to be on the field very, very soon. Hopefully, we'll be able to get to see him in his strongest form on the field very soon. Now, we did bring in Deshaun Elliott to be our backup safety or, starting safety in case Brandon Jones missed a little bit. So he could be, or he's going to make the roster. Now, the question is, do we keep on 4 or 5 safeties? I think we're going to keep on 4 safeties. I think, I think it would have been 5 if Elijah Campbell was fully healthy. I think we end up cutting him, or maybe he makes the initial 53 and then we put him on IR. And then, that opens up for someone to come back. But I think all in all, I do think that it's going to be these 4 guys, and the 4th one being Verone McKinley. Ironically, it's going to be Javon Holland, Verone McKinley, the college teammates, and Brandon Jones and Deshaun Elliott, the college teammates. Only really have 1 free safety in that group, but Javon Holland's just an absolute monster, and he's going to be on the field forever. So don't even try to talk me out of that. I have his jersey getting dry cleaned, actually. All right, cornerback. Now, obviously, we're going to have to start the season. We're going to have to put Jalen Ramsey on the initial 53 before we can put him on IR to actually bring someone up. So Jalen Ramsey, Xavier Howard, Kader Kohu, Cam Smith are all a lock. Now, Noah Igbenogany, I believe he's going to end up being the CB2 with Kader in the slot and Xavier Howard on the outside while Jalen Ramsey is sidelined. So I have him making the roster as well. And Eli Apple, he was brought in. He hasn't really done anything great, hasn't really done anything bad. Very consistent guy. I think he's going to make the roster as well. Now it comes down to the 7th corner. I do think we're going to carry 7 into the season. I think, once Jalen Ramsey goes on IR, then we get another one back. Maybe we'll throw that into a safety, some other position. I don't know. This is just my prediction for right now. I think it's going to be Justin Bethel over Keon Cross and Ethan Bonner, Jamal Perry, and Perry Nickerson. Perry Nickerson has had a very good preseason. Didn't really stand out to me too much during training camp, but very good preseason. I did recognize him. I recognize your game, bro. I like it. Ethan Bonner, bum. I'm sorry. It looks like he's going to be your accountant at Chase Bank. I apologize. This is what it is. Jamal Perry, I really like him. I do see him becoming a practice squad guy somewhere, but he's just not better than Justin Bethel. Justin Bethel can play safety, he can play corner, and he's an elite special teamer. And Keon Crossan, we know how we feel about Keon Crossan, right? Bye-bye. I don't want to ever see you again. Hopefully you go to a shit team and do fantastic over there, but stay out of South Florida. Love you. All right, so yeah, onto the linebackers. Now, Malik Reed already got cut, along with Aubrey Miller, Mitchell Agood, Garrett Nelson. Um, I'm not completely sure where I'm going with this. So, I mean, obviously, we have Jalen Phillips, Bradley Chubb, Jerome Baker, David Long, Andrew Van Ginkel, Duke Riley that are all going to make the roster. A lot of people were questioning whether Channing Tindall is going to make this roster. And I think with the cuts of Aubrey Miller, Cameron Good, Malik Reed, Mitchell Agood, and Garrett Nelson, it really opens up the door for Channing Tindall. There is a chance that AJ Johnson gets in there. He's a vet that we just signed not too long ago. I believe he just played his first preseason game for us. So there's a chance that he sneaks in there, but I do think that he is on the out. That leaves 7 linebackers. I would love 8 because we do run more of a 3-4 than a 4-3. So I would love to have an extra guy back there. I'm curious to see if we bring back Mitchell Agood. I really do kind of hope that we bring him back. I kind of like him. He showed up and showed out throughout training camp and preseason. Would really like to see, what he can do as an 8th linebacker. Like, you're rarely going to play your 8th linebacker. They're going to get 5 snaps a game, but if you can be an impact on those 5 snaps, you can make something happen. A few of these guys have already been cut. So defensive line, Josiah Bronson, Randy Charlton, and Jalen Twyman have all been cut already. Deshaun Hand, for the time being, is still on the roster. Same with Jamal Woods. Christian Wilkins, Raekwon Davis, obviously a lock. Zach Sealer is also a lock. We just signed him to an extension. Emmanuel Ogbah, there's trade rumors. I think he ends up staying on the roster for this year. I think next year he ends up getting cut or traded when his cap number's a lot lower. So I do think that he's listed as a defensive end. The rest of those guys are defensive tackles. So he's technically our only defensive end, but he's on the defensive line. So there's him. And then the last guy, undrafted free agent, Brandon Peely, absolute just monster throughout training camp, preseason. I've had my eye on this guy since day one. I even said, if you go back and onto the Miami Dolphins Syndicate channel, when we first signed him as an undrafted free agent, I said, I got looking at his scouting report, I'm like, hey, this guy's only fault is that he's a little bit undersized. I will take the only fault you have being undersized. I'll take it all day long. You have undersized guys that are great at every position. Look at Tua. Look at Kyler Murray. Look at Tyreek Hill is undersized. Like, I know he's on the defensive line with, guys that are, 6 inches taller, 40 pounds heavier. I don't care. You're able to perform. You're able to perform. It matters what you put on tape. It doesn't matter your size. So that's where I have it. I have 5 defensive line players, 4 defensive tackles, and Emmanuel Ogbah being the defensive end. Offensive line. This is where it's going to get tricky, guys. So we just traded Dan Feeney to the Bears last night. I do believe that this opens it up for Alama Uolave to make the roster. So this is what I think is going to happen. So we have Teron Armstead, obviously. His backup over there is Kendall Lamb. Austin Jackson's obviously going to be at right tackle. Connor Williams at center. Robert Hunt at right guard. Liam Meichenberg's obviously going to be a backup there as well. Isaiah Wynn's going to be the starting left guard. So then that really leaves a spot for a couple of backups. I believe Robert Jones may make the team initially, then go on IR, and then we bring back someone else. But I'm going to go with Robert Jones as my starting or on my first initial 53. And then my second one is Alama Uolave, who I just said is going to be replacing Dan Feeney as the backup center for Connor Williams. Now, he's a natural center, so this really helps in case Connor Williams goes down. We shouldn't have any snapping issues. Dan Feeney could not snap the ball, and that's what really lost him the job to Alama Uolave, an undrafted free agent rookie. Tight end. Now, this is interesting because I've seen a lot of people actually write off Elijah Higgins and say that, Eric Saubert's going to be the tight end. I don't think Julian Hill makes the team. I don't think Tyler Kroft makes the team. I think more than likely we're actually going to keep 4 tight ends when it's all said and done. I believe we end up initially cutting Tanner Connor and then bringing him back, or Eric Saubert. Eric Saubert has a little bit more guaranteed money, so it's probably going to be Tanner Connor. But I think one of those guys is going to be cut, then brought back. So obviously we have Durham Smythe, and I think Elijah Higgins, the rookie 6th rounder. I think it's kind of hard to cut your 6th rounder. I already said that we're going to cut Ryan Hayes, our 7th rounder. We already cut Cedric Ogboya, Jerron Christian, Keon Smith is already gone. James Tunstall is already gone. So that's kind of where I was at with offensive line. So tight ends, I think, our 6th rounder makes it. I think it's going to be Durham Smythe, Elijah Higgins, and Tanner Connor, with Eric Saubert potentially being the 4th when someone goes on IR and then we bring someone back in. Wide receiver. Now this is interesting. So I think obviously we have Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Braxton Berrios, and Cedric Wilson, and Eric Ezukama. Those are our 5 that are making the roster no matter what. We already cut Kiki Kuti. We already cut Chris Coleman. There's interest in bringing Chris Coleman back to the practice squad. I'll mention that. Braylon Sanders has been injured since that first preseason game, and luckily he went down in practice, not preseason. Hopefully he will be back at some point in the near future. I think he starts off on the practice squad with a chance to get brought up for a couple of games. Here's the trick. Robbie Chosen Anderson or River Craycraft. On one hand, you have a guy that can block, put his hand in the dirt, isn't afraid to get dirty, can return punts, can return kicks in case anything happens to Braxton Berrios. Excuse me. Robbie Chosen, just absolutely blazing speed. We know he's 2.5 years removed from a 1,000-yard season with the Carolina Panthers. He had a little stint last year with the Cardinals and looked pretty decent for them. But he's a speedster. He's an outside guy. He's some guy that can go over the top. We already have those guys. We already have Tyreek. We already have Jalen Waddle. We have Eric Ezukama who can do that as well. We already have those guys that can split out wide and just absolutely beam by everybody. He's not faster than those guys. I mean, yeah, he's plenty fast, but he's not faster than those guys. He's too little to be taking anything on an end around, and too little being skinny. Tyreek has some meat on his bones. Waddle has some meat on his bones, and they're shifty. He's just fast. He's not shifty. Whereas River Craycraft, he's not afraid to put his hand in the ground, stiff arm, run through people. He's not afraid to do that stuff. So I have an upset of River Craycraft over Robbie Chosen Anderson. I do think Braxton Berrios is the wide receiver 3 going forward. Cedric Wilson did show a lot of potential, though, in that 3rd preseason game. Just those little, inside, what's it called? It's not a post, because a post you run on the outside. It's not a slant. I'm forgetting the name. But he ran pretty much towards the middle of the field in a straight, like a post route towards the middle of the field. Inside post, I guess, whatever you can call it. Forgetting the term. He was running a lot of those and was catching a lot of stuff over the middle. Kind of like what Gesicki did, which is interesting, because it looks like they're going to be replacing Gesicki with a receiver at that role. Okay, so running back. I got a little surprise for y'all here. If we don't add Jonathan Taylor, Raheem Mostert, Devon Achane, Savon Ahmed, obviously Alec Ingold is the fullback, and Chris motherfucking Brooks. Don't at me at that. Jeff Wilson, bye-bye. You're traded, you're cut, you're gone, you're finito, bye-bye. Chris Brooks is young. He has fresh legs. He does not have the injury history Jeff Wilson does. Jeff Wilson has been out all preseason with injury. I think we could trade him for a 6th-round pick, similar to what we just did with Dan Feeney. I think Chris Brooks is that dude that can take over the Jeff Wilson role. He doesn't need a pass catch. He just needs to sit there and block or run up the middle. That's all you need to do. We have our guys that have speed on the outside. Chris Brooks, really big guy, can run you over. I really like his athleticism. I really like his physicality. I really like how he just runs angry. I really like him overall as a prospect. If anything, he gets brought back on the practice squad. It is what it is. But I think he makes it over Jeff Wilson. I think Jeff Wilson gets traded. Yes, quote me on that. Please do. I said before the season this guy wasn't even going to make the roster. He wasn't going to make it the preseason. I was wrong. I'm happy to say I was wrong. I love this dude. And just his game is impeccable. Then obviously, quarterbacks. Tua, Mike White, Skylar Thompson. Skylar Thompson kind of saved his ass with the second half of the 3rd preseason game and the 2nd preseason game. His first one, absolute dog water. Mike White obviously missed the second half of the game 2 due to a concussion, and then he cleared concussion protocol but did not play on Saturday just as a precaution. I think Skylar Thompson kind of played his way out of the number 2 role. It was a competition up until then. It was his job to lose, and he lost it. Obviously, Tua, that's our dude. That's our number 1 guy. That is the future MVP of Super Bowl. I don't even know what year we're in. Just 2024 Super Bowl. Just put it there. 2023 Dolphins. 17-0, book it, Super Bowl. 18, 19, 20, 21, so 21-0, book it, Super Bowl. We're good. All right, guys, make sure you all like, subscribe. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I know this is a little bit long video. Hope you all stuck around for the whole thing. If you didn't, I'm sorry. Please come back to the video, but you probably didn't make it this far anyway. Love you guys. Deuces.